A few years ago, I was reading An Invitation to Freedom by Muji, and I came across a line that stood out, and I found it again recently. He says in the line, it's important not to hold onto any thoughts, just stay empty. It's important not to hold on to any thoughts, just stay empty. So when I found this line, I wanted to share it with you because I wanted to go into it a little bit deeper. Why is it important not to hold on to any thoughts? And how do you stay empty? So, sorry, my dog is walking in the background. You might hear her little tip tapping. Um, so basically, you realize that the thoughts themselves are not the issue. It's believing the thoughts to be true that's the issue, and believing those thoughts to be your thoughts that causes the problem. So once you see this, the thoughts, they don't linger because the energy isn't being channeled into them. You can't sustain a thought if it's not being fed with your attention. And it's really interesting because when you start this, it can seem really hard to do. And you need to exercise some discipline because you're probably still getting sucked into thoughts a little bit. And it it's like it's drawing you in. It's a bit like, those epic movies and books like The Lord of the Rings, where there's this ring that holds all the power, and the person wearing it gets consumed by it. And our thoughts are a bit like that. When we wear our thoughts, when we believe them to be us, we get consumed by them if we allow them to take over. So we have to be vigilant at the start. We have to watch the thoughts that come up. And we watch, but we don't engage. And this requires a lot of effort. But after time, that effort decreases because it becomes obvious that the thoughts aren't yours, they aren't you. There's a passage in A Course in Miracles that says, vigilance does require effort, but only until you learn that effort itself is unnecessary. You have exerted great effort to preserve what you made because it was not true. Therefore, you must now turn your effort against it. Only this can cancel out the need for effort and call upon the being which you both have and are. The recognition is wholly without effort since it is already true and needs no protection. So basically, it's saying that vigilance does require effort. So at the start, you have to exert effort to be aware of thoughts, to watch thoughts without engaging. But after time, this effort isn't necessary because you cancel out the need for effort by being who you are, by being the observer and not the thought. And it says this is wholly without effort, this recognition, because it's already true. You already are the observer, you're not the thoughts. And this is true. So it's effortless to come to this realization, but some effort is required at the start. So, as Moody said, it's important to not hold on to any thoughts, just stay empty. So, you hold on to thoughts when you engage with them. You hold a thought in place when you travel down its path, when you allow it to seduce you, when you get enthralled by the thought. You stay empty when you let go of that engagement, when you allow thoughts to flutter by and there's no real engagement, you're not getting sucked in. So, this is where the vigilance comes in. Are you prepared to disengage from thoughts and let them go when you notice them coming up, or even when you notice that you've become entrenched? And this is a serious question because are you really prepared to let go of thoughts of jealousy when they swarm your mind? Are you prepared to let go of thoughts of anger when they rage through you? Are you prepared to let go of thoughts of spite when they come up to sting you? And right now, of course, the answer is yes, because you're not in that situation. But in the heat of the moment, when those thoughts come up, when you've allowed them to gain momentum, will you let go? Will you be willing to become empty? And if you don't let go, does that mean you've failed? Because the thought that you have failed is just another thought, but is it true? And the answer is no, of course not, because in order to fail, that would imply that there's a separate self who can fail. And you can't fail because you are already complete. You are already empty and whole at the same time. So don't turn this into another task or another way to measure yourself. Just notice the thoughts. Let them pass, be the observer, return to emptiness. The more you rest here, the more natural it becomes. And emptiness isn't something, some grand achievement that you get to. It's what's always here when the noise quietens down. It's always present. And from this space, you'll see that you've never been lacking, you've never been broken, you have never needed any fixing. You've only ever needed to remember who you truly are.